Yes, we are here and ready to start. I don't like to wait for other people to join in. Whoever's here is here. We got the first play at it. And today's video or today's live will probably ruffle some feathers, but I want to get into the brass tacks of it and really explain to you why I continue to harp on this topic. So the issue is the purely positive cult mindset and my issue with it and the dangers of it. And I'll tell you that, first of all, first and foremost, I do not have any problem with positive dog training. I have no problem whatsoever with it. Now, I have to say that anyone, whether it's purely positive or compulsion-based or whatever we want to call it, basically I'm going to describe or divide dog training into two theories. And that is dog training and then radical dog training. For example, most every dog trainer that I know, whether they're training pets, competition dogs, shelter dogs, whatever, every normal dog trainer, I should be saying every dog trainer, is using every tool, right? So they start with a very positive, let's say, approach, a very luring, shaping, understanding, relationship building type approach. And then they see what the dog needs and they go from there. In a normal world, in a normal mindset, that's the way it works. Except for when you have a radical bunch of crazies who therefore want to limit what can be done in dog training. For example, dog trainers have no problem with somebody who says, I only want to use treats and toys and clickers and rewards and such. I have no problem with that. If that is your limit, if that is the scope of your understanding and expertise, I think it's fantastic. And I think you can do wonderful, wonderful things with that skill. But there are situations, hang on, my wife says I'm not on screen. Hang on. How can I not be on screen? Hang on, let me check with my, hang on. If I'm not on screen, then I wonder what you're seeing here. Maybe I need to change this. Hang on a second. Am I not? Hang on, let me try this. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Let's start this again. I had this system set wrong. I had it set in preview mode, which my bad, my mistake. So we have a radical group of ideologues, and remember, and thank you, honey, for paying attention, because without Janet, I really am nothing. It was showing the shelter video. I want to show you that video. Was that video playing, by the way, guys? Honey, was that video playing? Still, it can't be. Hang on a second. Hang on a second. Something's going on here. I gotta check something here. Okay. Am I on screen there? Okay, there I am. Okay. Okay. Okay, so now am I online? I don't know. Anyway, let's assume I'm online. I think I'm online. I think I see myself here. And forgive me because I'm really passionate about this. And remember, all of you guys, what you're seeing, there's a lag. So from what I see to what you see, there's a bit of a lag. It's just the way this system works. I'm sorry. I'm not a great technical person. So now I'm good. My wife says I'm good. That means I'm good. dog trainers are under attack by a radical small base of ideologues, right? So purely positive dog training, it's not a methodology, it's an ideology. It has nothing to do with helping dogs. It has to do with limiting tools. Okay? I'm going to show you a video, and I wanted to play it in the background here. And hopefully I can find it, because I want you to watch this video. This here was yesterday at the animal shelter. Okay, now I'm hoping that you can see me and this video. And what really upsets me so much is people who don't get it. And why does that upset me so much? Why does it upset me? I said it yesterday. I did a really short Instagram live, and somebody accused me of not thinking dogs are sentient beings. Nothing could be further from the truth. Right? This person who accused me of this is an ideologue. It's one of these people, one of these online trainers. Honestly, this guy has, I think, 4 followers. So, but he has a hard for me. He just despises me, hates me. He's one of my stalkers. I've got plenty of stalkers. I got no problem with stalkers. The problem is they don't have an agenda, right? They have an agenda. They have no skill. And when I go to the shelter, look at these pictures. Look at these videos that you see. I shot this literally yesterday, and I just shot it on a little camera. It's nothing professional, but this is what I see when I go to the shelter. I see hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dogs in kennels, behind bars, living on concrete, oftentimes sleeping in their own urine and feces. And these dogs are screaming. These dogs are crying to get out. They're crying and screaming with every bit of energy they have left, standing at the gates of the kennel, trying to get out, pleading for someone to love them, someone to train them, someone to give them a second chance. Now, so often, I hear of trainers, such as several in Northern California I've talked to, Southern California as well, who help rescues, who help shelters, who are dog trainers. And I think that's going to be the term we need to really get to. We're either dog trainers or we are of the cult mindset. So if you're a positive dog trainer, you're a dog trainer. If you're a dog trainer who believes, like some of these very famous Instagram people, YouTube, Facebook, whatever, Instagram people, and you know who you are. I'm not going to even mention your name because I don't feel the need to give your name any validity. But you are part of the problem. You get mentioned and tagged in my videos all the time because you're pathetic. You have no skill. You jump from cause to cause to cause. A few months ago or a year or so ago, it was all BLM. You were a dog trainer who was all about supporting BLM. Now you're all about supporting Palestine. Now you're all about this. So when you jump from topic to topic to topic to topic, you're just really a prostitute for a cause. And I would have more respect for a prostitute than someone like you, because they're being honest. You're not. To be lying, to saying that dog training, if it uses a tool, which by the way is idiotic, right? Because you guys are all using harnesses and halties and easy walks and all this crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. But you're afraid to put a slip lead around a dog's neck. And because you're afraid of doing it and you can't handle the dog with that tool, you can't say you don't have the ability to handle that dog. Instead, what you say is that that tool will hurt or damage a dog, that trainers are intimidating these dogs. They're creating fear in these dogs. And nothing could be further from the truth. Look at these dogs behind these bars. A 5-minute walk in a shelter, and I'm showing you this. Right? These aren't the little fluffy dogs that the purely positive crowd is showing on their websites, on their Instagram, and on the Facebook pages. They're not showing those dogs, although there are plenty of those dogs in the shelter too. There are dogs that require structure. There are dogs that require corrections. They require information. They require guidance. And they require, most of all, compassion. And that is what dog trainers are giving them. But when punks, like these people I'm talking about, start to attack them, I will make it my mission to destroy anyone who attacks a dog trainer that is helping. I will make it my mission to make you look so pathetic in the reality of what you're doing. It's not hard for me to do that because I see the dogs you guys are training. I see them. And there's nothing to those dogs. The dogs you're training, yeah, they do work with purely positive, but that's the percentage of dogs that you're working with. We're killing hundreds of thousands of really nice dogs, like these dogs you're seeing here, because we're not willing to give them a correction. And the lies perpetrated by this purely positive movement, these lies are destroying lives. And I'm telling you something, it's not going to end here. So I made a couple notes. First of all, I said, obviously it's called different. If you know, 1 week it's called force-free, then it's called purely positive, then it's called whatever, because they hop around from topic to topic once we start addressing things. Now, the name sounds like a good idea, purely positive. Wow. I mean, who wouldn't? Would you want to go to the purely positive restaurant or do you want to go to the other one? We need to stop calling it balanced training because it's not balanced training. It's just training. It's dog training. It was always dog training. There was never these terms until the radicals started invading it. And dog trainers kind of gave in. They kind of said, oh, well, yeah, okay, yeah, let's see. Which is the mistake. The reason you have the country and the world in the shape you have it in now, and I'll probably be long dead by the time all this stuff comes to fruition. It's probably going to be 20, 30, 40 years. I mean, maybe I'll be alive. I hope so. I'd love to see it. But when strong people started putting weak people in positions of power and giving them validity, those weak people sought to throw out and undermine the strong people. They started attacking the very people who gave them a platform. Right? Now, I've got somewhat of a platform here on social media, on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. I mean, 300-something thousand on YouTube. I have 170,000 on Facebook, I think 120,000 Instagram, something like that. But I'm certainly seeing my stuff shadow banned now. I'm certainly seeing the growth I once had I don't have anymore because the radicals are infiltrating all of these sects, everything. But here's the danger. So you say, like my friends in Australia, I'm helping them fight this cause because they're trying to ban IGP, protection dog training, right? And people say, I'm not an IGP trainer. I've trained in it. I love it. It's a very, very fun sport for me. But I'm also doing agility with my puppy. I also did competitive obedience with my dog. I did Mondial ring obedience. I've done a lot of things with my dogs. But my core is helping troubled dogs. There's nothing that gives me as much fulfillment as being able to help the dogs in shelters. It's been my mission before I ever did one competitive thing with a dog. and it will be my mission a long time after. These dogs will suffer, and they do suffer, because people hear the lie of, oh, purely positive training can do everything. You don't need a correction on a dog. And then people get these dogs and they try these courses or these methodologies by these quacks, and it doesn't work. Well, then if it doesn't work, what are you going to do? You've got to get rid of the dog. And then the dog goes to the shelter. And the dog gets killed in the shelter. Because the more this lie is spread, the more this lie is sold. And it's a lie. Very similar to, when they do these shows about, the vegans who say, oh, if you eat meat, it's stuck in your colon for 10 years. I believed that crap for a little while. And then I opened my eyes. And that's what I'm trying to help people do here. Because so much of my message is getting to people who are really good dog trainers. They're positive trainers. And they say, well, I do want to do things positively, but I really want to help dogs. So maybe I need to have a skill to take it one step further. And when you want that skill, you should have that skill. And you should have the ability to be able to use that skill to help that dog. But the radicals don't want you to have that skill. They don't want you to have access to that skill, which will cause a couple of things. One, it will cause you not to be able to train your dog. At some point, tools will not be available. You will not be able to buy a slip lead. You're going to have to use a halty or a nose halt, whatever. I mean, some crazy concoctions. They're trying to get in that you need to be certified to be a dog trainer. Do I think it's a good idea? Maybe. I have no problem with someone being able to show their skill in order to train dogs. I have no problem with that at all. I do have a huge problem with the people or the organization that will be enforcing and giving forth those certifications. If that organization is about letting purely positive people and other dog trainers have the certification, I have no problem with it. But I can assure you that's not going to happen. As you can see with everything now is radicalized. The world is getting radicalized. And I don't want to turn this political because I have friends on both sides of the spectrum, on the left and on the right. I don't care where you stand politically. But if you're a radical, I got a problem with that. If you're a radical on either side, I got a problem with that. I was talking yesterday to my friend Oscar, and he was telling me about some of these people doing these temperament assessments on these dogs for protection. And they're being really hard on these dogs. I'll come after you. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are. For the breath I have in me, for as long as I have it in me, I will come after anyone who is cruel to a dog. And I will come after anyone who limits the ability to be able to save a dog and help a dog. And there's a lot of us out there like that. There are a lot of us out there who really love dogs and don't care much about people who don't like them. So if you're one of those people who abuses an e-collar, who abuses a prong collar, I'll find you and I will out you and I will destroy you. I promise you that. I promise you that. And if you're out there spewing forth lies about dog training and saying that people like me who use a full spectrum of dog training skills, that's really what it is. It's full spectrum. If you use those skills and you lie and say that that is hurting a dog, I will out you. And I will show the lies you're perpetrating. I don't have as many followers as a lot of you quackpots, but I will make it my mission. I will continue to be vocal. And you can try to destroy me. I don't care. As I said yesterday, at this point, I was talking with Jan about the other day, I could turn the switch, turn off all my social media, my website stuff. I could be done. I could retire and have a nice life. And actually, I'm kind of partially retiring anyway. Got my puppy, got Shmuley, taking care of my old dogs. Goofy's almost 15, 14 and a half. Maya, 13 and a half. Jimmy, 13 and a half. I love caring for my dogs. I love spending time with my wife. I love training my puppy. I don't need this. I'm not thirsty for money. I've got money. I've made my name. I've done the things I've wanted to do. My real mission is to be able to help young people. When I see guys like Oscar, who's a great trainer, Oscar Mora, really fantastic trainer, young guy, young enough to be my son. When I think about his future and people limiting what he can do, a skilled trainer, and you're going to limit his tools and the tools of all these young guys. Because you know what? I hang out with those young guys. I'm the old guy in the group when I hang out with Oscar and his friends. And I see these young kids learning to train dogs and how passionate they are. And then I see these radicals lying about the fact that they're intimidating, causing fear in dogs. Nothing could be further from the truth. It's an outright lie. And I will continue to use my platform to destroy and completely destroy those lies. These videos I show you in the shelter are something I've seen for more than 15 years. I have a lot of friends in the shelter system. The shelter system is so broken because people in general don't have a clear picture of what dog ownership is about. They get these crazy, idiotic breeds, these Corsos, these Pressas, these Dogos, without any idea of how to handle that dog, without any idea of the genetics, buying them on Craigslist off the side of the road on Facebook Marketplace and all this, buying these crazy, powerful dogs, and they're unable to handle them. Not only because they don't know how to train and they don't understand training, but also because these dogs are genetically a disaster. I know friends who work in the shelters who have gotten so mauled, so destroyed physically, ripped to shreds by these pits, Corsos, Pressas, Corsos, all these dogs, as well as shepherds, Rots, Dobermans. Because when that dog doesn't work out for you, whether or not you're only using purely positive training or you're just not skilled enough to have this dog, that's a whole nother topic to get into the shelter thing. But my friends, a couple of them, have gotten mauled by these dogs. And you know, here's the problem, and I'm just going to touch on this. The dog in the shelter is nobody's problem but the person who put it there. I'm going to move this off the screen here. Let's see if I can get it off the screen completely there. But yet, the people don't want the dog. They dump it in the shelter. Shelter doesn't know anything about it. Some nutty rescue group wants to rescue it. Puts shelter staff at risk handling this dog. And then the dog turns and mauls this nice person. Just happened the other day to a friend of mine. Yesterday, actually. A girl I respect and know very well for many, many years. And she was a mentee of my good friend. And God bless her. My prayers are with her today as she went through a tragic, horrible, devastating attack by a dog in a shelter yesterday. I'm not mentioning any details, but I know what goes on. And it's disgusting. So, again, if you're out to change things and you want to do away with IGP, training tools, e-collars, prong collars, I'll destroy you. I will continue to come on here and out you because you have no skill. And your limitation or your lack of skill is exceeded only by your ego. You know who you are. I don't mention your names. You tag me in your videos all the time, but I will not even mention your pathetic little name. But you know who you are. And you're a liar. You're a pathetic liar. Telling people these lies as you jump from your bullshit cause to another cause, trying to show your virtuosity, how great you are, what a great human being you are for supporting this cause. Oh, yes, yes, vegan, yes. Oh, yes, global warming, yes. Oh, free Palestine, yes. Oh, Black Lives Matter, yes. It's bullshit. And people are getting really wise to it. People are getting really wise to all these bullshit causes because they're a waste of time. And trust me, I have friends who are gay. I have friends who are transgender. I have friends who are black, Jew, Muslim. I have friends of everything. But I don't need to quantify my virtuosity by tapping onto a cause. But that's what people are doing. They have to show how virtuous they are. I'm going to give you an example. I talked about this with Oscar on the podcast, and you should listen to that podcast because it's a very, very good podcast between two good friends and two fantastic dog trainers, Oscar and me. People are so snowed over in having to be more virtuous than somebody else that the person, like me, who flies to Germany to buy his dog is seen as a person who, oh, why would you buy a dog when there's all these dogs dying in shelters? Well, then the person who gets a dog in the shelter, oh, well, the dog, you got a puppy. It's a purebred puppy in the shelter. Why would you get that dog? Oh, well, you know what's right? What they think? Get the dog that's 10 years old, missing an eye, that bit a kid's face, that has, epilepsy. Or get a dog that's right off the meat trade, and then you're virtuous. But you're not, because you're going to tell everybody about it. If you're virtuous, you don't need to tell people about it. What's the greatest act of charity, according to the Hebrew scriptures and the Christian scriptures? Is the person who gives charity to a person that they don't know, and that the person who's receiving the charity doesn't know who it's coming from. But that's not what it is now. Oh, no, no, no. Oh, no, now you have to post it on your little black tile on your Instagram, or your little other tile on your Instagram, or you have to post you're a vegan, or you have to post how your dog came off the meat trade, and your dog was a street dog and was starving and was, came from Guatemala and all this stuff. We've really spiraled into a pathetic excuse for humanity. The bottom line is, just do what you want to do. Be a good person. I'm not looking for anyone to say what a great person I am. I don't care what you think about me. I know I'm a good person. I'm doing the best I can to help as many dogs and people as I can. In the meanwhile, also enjoying my life, sharing a beautiful life with my wife and my dogs and my family, my mom, my sisters. That's what it's really about. We need to get away from all the BS. And I'm telling you something. People are getting tired of the political correctness. I had dinner last night, Jan and I had dinner with another couple, very good friends of mine. And someone I respect probably more than anybody. One of the most intelligent people I've ever met in my life. I've met a lot of people. And we had the greatest conversation. And it was just so interesting. I'm 60. These people are 80 something. the conversation of seeing things eye to eye was so amazing. There are people like us, like a lot of you who tune in really kind of see things eye to eye with me. And some of you don't. And I don't have a problem with you don't. Right? We grow more by experiencing people we don't see eye to eye with, but it's certainly nice to see eye to eye with someone and sharing those experiences. But I digress. The world is growing tired of all this stuff, of these crybabies, right? These little wimps from behind a keyboard, suddenly they're tough. Like Oscar and I said, and Oscar grew up in a tough neighborhood. I grew up rough and tough. It wasn't a really rough neighborhood like Oscar. But, you know, back in those days, not saying it's right or wrong, but if you were a jerk, you got punched in the face. Now, you like virtually punch somebody in the face. Virtually. On the internet, you virtually punch them in the face. It's pathetic. And then if the person answers back in a way that doesn't, the algorithm doesn't agree with, oh, you get timed out. You go to Facebook jail. Your comment gets deleted. You know, I said to someone once, man, that is a really ugly comment. I got timed out from Facebook because they thought I said the person was ugly. And if I said they were ugly, what's wrong with that? Are we so sensitive? Are we so weak that we can't handle that? Are we then projecting that weakness on our dogs? Are we projecting that weakness onto our dogs where the dog can't handle a pop on the leash? Because if that's what we've developed and that's what we're morphing into, we're going to get rolled over in this country and in the free world by those countries that still have strength. The superpower we once were when men were men. And I know that's going to piss off a few people. I don't care. I was raised that a man was a man, stood up for his woman, stood up for his family. These girly men didn't exist back then. But when they were around, we protected them because real men protected weak men. Now weak men rule strong men. And that's really sad. And it's not a world I'm going to live in. I'm going to fight back. So that's it. I'm going to give the last half hour to you guys, or 20 minutes, 25 minutes to you guys for questions, because I know you got a lot of questions. And put my glasses on, my thinking glasses on. And let me address some of your questions. So if you have questions, yeah, Gott mit uns, exactly, genau. So you guys got some stuff. Yeah, dog's mind. There you go. There's a perfect example. You know, the tool, one of the best tools that positive trainers liked, and I've seen it in a lot of their videos, is the crate. And it's been banned in Europe. You can't put a dog in a crate now, right? And the people in Europe, God bless them, because they thought, oh, you know, they want to ban the e-collar. Okay, you know, let's give them the e-collar. And they went to the prong collar. They went to the slip lead. Now they're the crate. Now, in Austria, a few months ago, I helped them fight a battle because they tried to outlaw protection dog sports because they're cruel and mean and horrible. Imagine that. If you give the radicals an inch, they'll take a mile. Okay, this is a good question from Raylan Howard. Do you think aggression can be inherited from parents? 1,000% yes. Aggression can be a genetic component of a dog. Certain aggression is inherited. It's in their DNA. People don't want to admit that. Right? There's certain aggression that can be trained out. It can be masked. It can be managed. True aggression will never be solved. You will never get a dog that is truly aggressive to be unaggressive. It will just be a matter of time until that aggression comes out. So when you see these guys online talking about, oh, I train aggression and, you know, in 5 sessions, the dog wasn't aggressive anymore. No, in 5 sessions, the dog wasn't aggressive for 5 sessions. But that aggression will come back out. At some point, somehow, somewhere, that aggression will come back out. Because if you're not managing that aggression constantly, whether you're masking it with cookies and treats or an e-collar, that aggression will come back out. So then you say, then why do we need an e-collar and a prong collar? Because when we're managing aggression, it will be able to be managed much better and more thoroughly than by using just cookies and treats. Because you will not be able to manage it with just cookies and treats. People aren't going to like what I'm about to say. This is going to really ruffle some people's feathers. But in a lot of ways, in the dog kingdom, might makes right. Now, I'll tell you right now, I've got a young puppy. He's a lot of dog. A lot of dog. I've seen him interacting with my dogs. And I can tell you, Maya has snapped at him, and Maya has pinned him to the ground. She didn't hurt him, but she pinned him to the ground. She scared the daylights out of him. And he learned his lesson. So if that psychology works from a mature female dog to a puppy, why wouldn't that psychology work from an adult, male, female owner to a puppy or a dog? Weak people create strong dogs. That's easy. And they often create dangerous dogs. Balanced structure, and I'm not saying balanced training, real dog training. Balanced structure means, you have good and bad. I play hard with my dog and I correct hard with my dog. All my dogs. And it works. You've seen the dogs I work with. Anybody who says I haven't worked with dogs or haven't trained real dogs is just popping in on one video. You've just popped in on that one video. You haven't looked at the 1,000 videos on YouTube. You haven't looked at my shelter work on YouTube, Facebook, everywhere. You haven't looked at that. If you've seen that, you know what I do. Let's see. By the way, just like I think this purely positive lie is dangerous, and I think it should be outed, I think people who abuse dogs with prong collars and e-collars should be outed. Any abuse should be outed. I got no problem with it. I said to Janet last night, I said, you know what, I'm done. And I mean this sincerely. I'm completely done. I don't care at this point. Who wants to destroy me? Who wants to take me down? Bring it on. Bring it on. This is my resolution. If I see someone abusing a dog, like Oscar and I were talking yesterday, some of these protection dog trainers abusing these dogs, I'll go after you too, because I don't care. I don't care. I'm not afraid of anyone. I'm not afraid of anything. You know what I'm afraid of, though? I'm afraid of dying without having done enough. Dying an unlived life scares me to death. But somebody intimidating me doesn't scare me. It doesn't bother me at all. You can't intimidate me. I've been intimidated by the best. I wonder if any of you guys have any questions. And I want to open it up to questions. I'm just looking for question marks. Let's see. Questions. Where? What can I do with a 7-year-old I think you mean a Cane Corso that bites my hands and from time to time bites hard? Well, first of all, a Cane Corso is a real tough breed. It's a sentry dog. It's a molliser. It's a dominant dog. And if he's 7 years old and doing this, then he wasn't trained properly at 7 months or 7 weeks. And a lot of people who breed these dogs, and this goes to Malinois, goes to German Shepherds and Rottweilers, it's these strong dogs. So often, Pits, Rottweilers, they're bred by thugs. And it's not blacks, it's not Hispanics, it's not whites, it's not Asians, it's not Middle Easterners, it's all of them. It's a thug mindset. They breed tough dogs, they overwork the puppies. I see what they do to the puppies. Why did I go to Germany to get a puppy? Because I thought there I could get a dog that was raised properly, bred properly, reared properly, and I did. But if you got a 7-year-old Corso that's biting your hand hard, you better get tough on that dog. Because that dog will destroy you. That dog will kill you. A Neapolitan Mastiff, a Presa Canario, any of these dogs. You got a big problem on your hands. And it's one thing if he bites you, maims you, kills you, or whatever. It's another thing if he does it to someone's child. Because if a dog did it to my child, I'd come for you and your dog. Oh, yeah, this is the other thing. Okay, I think you've got a point here. Me and my Mal, that is 6-month-old and well-trained, were just kicked out of a positive-only training school. I told him no, and they didn't like that, said I needed his permission for whatever. So this is the new bullshit, right? You need your dog's permission. This, I'm going to really touch on this because this is so incredibly insane. The new thing is, dogs are sentient beings, which I agree with 100%, 1,000%. But you need their permission to pet them. You need their permission to do whatever. You are completely a moron. You are the dumbest person on the planet. You deserve to be sterilized because you shouldn't be breeding children if you're that dumb. I don't care who I'm going to piss off today, by the way. The gloves are off, man. Gloves are off. I won't allow this stupidity to continue. I let it go. I was nice about it for a while. But, okay, so if you're kind of course of 7 months old, then just get on top of him and train him and condition him not to do that. But 7 years is a big difference. But you got a strong dog. You don't need your dog's permission. This is the same BS where they talk about with children. Let's say you have a 7-week-old baby or an 8-month-old baby, and the baby craps its diaper. Ask the baby for permission to change the diaper. Ask the baby to give you permission to feed it. I mean, it's idiotic. Here's the thing. Dogs are personal property. Now, this might sound demeaning, but I've argued this position with professors, with a professor of law. Having the dog be a property, a possession, personal property, gives the dog immense protection because the owner's protection governs over the dog. The person can protect the dog. If the dog is autonomous, the dog doesn't have that protection from the owner. Some kind of a whack job court is going to decide it. And if you don't think courts are a complete perversion of justice now, then you're really lost. Because look at the things they're trying to decriminalize. These radical people are trying to decriminalize criminal acts. In the meanwhile, they're trying to get you to ask your dog's permission and make using a prong collar illegal. If that's not a backwards world, I don't know what is. And, I used to say, it is what it is, and whatever, da, 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 da. And then I talked to some friends, some really intelligent friends. And they said, you know what? It's time we start pushing back. And it is that time that we start pushing back. And it's time we start supporting people. There's right now a petition on change.org for Australia. Help Australia sign that petition. Because once they get in, and these radicals, that's their way. They're going to get in a small country. Well, they did try to do in Austria, which is small. Australia isn't big. But Australia has a very small working dog community. So they're going to go in and they're going to attack the small one, which is IGP right now. They're going to attack that. And when they get that taken over, then they're going to go to PSA, Mondial Ring, French Ring, Belgian Ring, whatever else is left. Then they're going to go after whatever. Look, in America, the PBR, the Pro Bull Riders, did awesome. Right? The whole rodeo circuit did awesome because whether you agree with it or not, they said, it blatantly said to these radical organizations, the 4-letter ones, starts with a P, I'm not going to say anything else. They said, hey, go F yourselves. We're going to do what we're going to do. It's a tradition. Whether I agree with them or not, I respect the fact that they stood up to these radicals and said, hey, go, you know what, yourself. That's what we got to do. Because they're going to tear away right after right after right after right. It's not saying, you know, okay, we'll take this because this is really dangerous. It's we'll take this because it's really dangerous, and there's only a few of those, and then we'll go further and further and further and further down the line, and we'll destroy you. This country, your freedoms will be destroyed the more you give in. And dog training, the problem with it is not the fact that dog training will change, but dogs will suffer. Dogs that can't be trained will be killed. We will have a flood in our nation's shelters. People won't have real dogs anymore. You're not going to have a real hunting lab anymore. You're not going to have a real German Shepherd anymore. You're going to have a little Cavalier King Charles that's 13, 14 pounds. That's as neurotic as all hell, walking down the street scared of its own shadow. So, what's this here? I'm a dog walker and I have dogs in and out of my car all day. My dog has recently started to snap on dogs as they get in my car. How do I stop this if she's resource guarding my car? Well, the dog doesn't respect the fact that it's your car and she thinks it's her car. She needs to be made to know that you will control her in little things. If I don't let dogs snap. If my puppy snaps at my other dogs and the other dog doesn't correct him, then I'm going to correct him. And with a little puppy, I might take 2 fingers and tap him on the snout and say, hey, knock it off. I might grab him by the scruff and say, hey, don't do that. I stay very calm with dogs when I correct them. But anyone who tells you not to correct a puppy is going to let that puppy turn into an out-of-control dog. And that out-of-control dog is going to destroy you and eventually end up in a shelter. So all these purely positive mindset, ideologue, cult people who tell you, oh, scatter food on the floor. I know somebody who's got a tough dog who is an ideologue. You can't get near this dog. This dog will bite you. And this person is still scattering food on the floor and rewarding with telling the dog to go down and giving him a cookie. This dog is going to end up doing damage. Anyway, I don't see too many questions, but remember why I'm having this chat with you guys. Because I believe we have, what's this? My best friend has breeds Malinois, but they eat all his house up. They are not allowed in the house anymore. Well, here's the thing. I have a Malinois. I've had 2 Malinois, my Goofy and now my dog Shmuley. First of all, most people who are breeding Malinois shouldn't be breeding Malinois. Most people who are breeding most dogs shouldn't be breeding any dogs. That's it. That's my point. Because a well-bred dog is going to be a well-mannered dog, given the structure early on, creating the dog. Yeah, if I let my puppy just run around from the time he was 8, 9, 10 weeks old, and when he's destroying stuff, go, oh, I didn't get to it in time. He's chewed up a couple things, but he doesn't destroy my house. He's in his crate now. He's right over there in his crate. And he's going to be in his crate through this live and through my next live. And when he comes out, he lays on the couch. And when he chews on something, I take it away. Or I put a little Tabasco sauce on it. Yes, I am doing a member chat after this, Samuel. But I correct my puppies. I correct my dogs. And when you crazy whack jobs out there say that correcting a puppy creates fear and anxiety in that puppy, you are the dumbest person I met this week. Maybe all month. That's it. If you don't correct your puppy, you are truly, truly an animal abuser. And if you overcorrect your puppy, you're truly, truly an animal abuser. Let me give you a case in point. If you don't feed your dog, you're an animal abuser. I equate not feeding a dog with not correcting a dog. And if you overfeed your dog, you just keep shoving food and food and food and food, then you're an abuser because you're overcorrecting your dog. If you can't see it from that explanation, which, by the way, I think is quite brilliant, and in fact, I need to remember that because it's at 50 minutes, because I'm going to cut that out. Overcorrecting a dog is abuse. Not correcting a dog is abuse. Not clearly correcting a dog is abuse. Here's an example. If you don't feed your dog, you're abusing your dog. If you overfeed your dog, you're abusing your dog. And if you feed your dog hot dogs and ice cream all day, you're abusing your dog. That is the wrong food, just like the wrong correction. Everything in life needs balance. I'm going to address this other thing. Well, it's at the end of this. The Tabasco trick works really well. Highly effective. Shmuley was always chewing on his leash, which is very dangerous. He chews on his leash and we're on a walk. He chews through it. He gets in the street. He gets hit by a car. So what I would do with Shmuley, every day I would get his leash. I knew he was going to chew on it. I would take it. I'd lay it on the counter. I'd put Tabasco sauce all over it. And I would grab him. Boom. I'd hook it on. I'd just walk away like it was nothing. And he reached and grabbed it. And he was like, blech, 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 blech. And he didn't do it anymore. And we solved the problem in, I think, 2 or 3 days. Brilliant. Yes. Did I come up with it? No, I heard about it years and years ago, and I just remembered it. So here's one last thing I want to talk about. And that is, we're not done, Cocoa Boy, the Rottweiler. We're not done. You say the leftists have gone too far, we're done. No, we're fighting back. We're going to take normal back to life. So a lot of times I'm criticized, right? And I said, sometimes people have, 3, 4, 5 million subscribers and followers, and some people have like 10. The thing these people have in common is an utter lack of skill. I see the dogs they train. I see what they do. I see their ability. And even with the weak dog they have, they lack the skill to get the dog to do what they want to do. Other people have like a 5 or an 8 pound Chihuahua, and they're telling me how to train dogs, and they're telling me how to handle aggression, and telling me about the idea of training. People who live in a trailer, and they completely, what's the word I'm looking for? They like slander me. I mean, look, I could easily hire a lawyer and sue them, but what am I going to get? Their 24-foot mobile home and their dirty dishes? It's not worth it. It's not worth my time to sue you. And you know that. But if I defame you, you could sue me and you do well. So I don't mention your name. But you have a 5 or 7 pound dog, and you can't even handle that dog barely in like a 100-acre field, and you're telling me how to handle the dogs I work with in a shelter environment where you would never, ever be able to handle one of those dogs in a million years. Like I said, I've had that challenge. We talked about it on the podcast with Oscar. Can't handle those dogs. I've had a challenge. I don't have it anymore because I'm not in the shelters full time anymore. But when I was in the shelters, I said, hey, anytime, any dog. Yeah. Oh, what is this? Joan says, I heard someone advocate banning long lines because she lacked the skill not to get herself and the dog tangled. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Yeah, and you're right there, Pet Prep Radio. These organizations that you hear that are telling you all these lies, and I'm going to do a video on that, by the way, about all these horrible, horrible, horrible organizations that lie to you. All the lies that go on in order to get you to adopt a dog, I'm going to address that in another live, because there is an exorbitant amount of lies that I've heard people who are like the guy, I'm not going to say his name, but he's the head of the Humane Society, said all the dogs in shelters are are much better trained because the shelter staff is training them. No, shelter staff is not training dogs. No. Mm-mm. That 30% are purebred. They're not. Unless they're purebred mixes, they're not. There's so many lies that go on. That's it. It keeps going. What do you have here? We've got a couple questions. What can you do to stop these people? It's worse in Europe. I'll tell you what you can do. We need to go back to normalcy. We need to push back on these people. But people aren't doing it. They go, oh, that person's just an extremist. They're just crazy. But you need to out the crazy, right? If you don't out the crazy, then you're going to get taken over by crazy. And that's what's happened. That's what's happened in universities, because universities are all indoctrination for radical thinking. I never went to college. My wife is very smart. She went to college. Her parents went to college. My parents didn't even finish high school. So I'm very lucky to have her. She's incredibly beautiful and intellectual. I'm not that well spoken. I understand the streets better than I understand anything, but I'll have a conversation with anybody. I love talking to people. I'm not that smart. And I'm grateful I'm not that smart, because I wasn't indoctrinated into a cult way of thinking like a lot of these people were. So anyway, guys, I got 1 minute left. I want you guys to know I appreciate you. I appreciate you extremely. You're my my core here of helping me in this mission to help more dogs. This is not about anything else. It's about helping dogs who have nothing. Look at the video in the shelter that I played in the beginning. I don't know how to get it back on here, but it's somewhere. It's on there somehow. Look at dogs in shelters, lingering, languishing, and dying in shelters. And think about those dogs. Then think about people like my friend Oscar Moore and all his great people he teaches. Look at young dog trainers all over Facebook, Instagram, who are really trying to do the best in helping dogs. Look at those people and stand up for those people. Give those people a fighting chance to have a normal life. Because if you're as old as me, then your kids, which I don't have kids, your kids have to grow up in this nonsense. And you better teach them reality. You better teach them life skills. And while you're alive, you better fight for what you believe in. You better fight for what's right. Because if not, it's going to get taken away from you. If you just stand by and say, oh, it'll go away. It's not going to go away. It's going to spread like a virus. And on that, I'm going to end it. And I will tell you, God bless you. God bless everything we do to try to help our dogs. And keep up the fight. I'm here with you. I will continue this fight for people in Australia, Austria, Europe, anywhere where there's a dog that's being persecuted or not given the life that they should have. I will fight. And if you want to bring it on, you know where I am.